Hello guys, good evening. I hope you guys can see the screen. Okay. All right, so we have reached our session number 17 now. And from here on, so for today's session, we are going to see that uh, a quick reference from Angular 1 to Angular 2. So we will look at what are the major changes and what is replaced by what. Okay, so X was there in, let's suppose X is there in Angular 1, then it is replaced with Y in Angular 2. Okay, so that is what we are going to see today. And for this, what we will do, we will make use of Angular 2 documentation. Okay, as I always say, that is the best place to refer to for a quick reference for anything you need. Okay, so first of all, let me set the expectations. Uh, Actually, we are not going to actually migrate the code which is there in Angular written and Angular 1, and you can directly upgrade to Angular 2. No. Okay, there is a complete rewrite required. Okay, if you guys have any Angular 1 application and you want to move to Angular 2, then you cannot do it directly. It's just have one solution to rewrite. Okay, so this session majorly focus on that what was there in Angular 1 that you might have written a module in Angular 1 and how you can write the same thing in Angular 2. Okay, so this is the agenda for our today's session. Okay, so what we will do, we will go to angular.io page, and this is nothing but Angular 1 to 2 quick reference. Okay, so this is our reference material which we will use to tell you how we can migrate from Angular 1 to Angular 2. Okay, so this is pretty lightweight session for today. So there is not much of a technical jargon and not much of a heavy syntax to learn. Okay, it's just increase your knowledge that how you can move from Angular 1 to Angular 2. Okay, basically how you can change your mindset or how you can relate. Okay, in case you guys are aware of Angular 1, then you will find it very interesting that how uh, anything which is X is changed with Y. All right, so this is our quick reference for Angular 1 to Angular 2. Okay, and this is a complete which we are going to see today. Okay, so first of all comes the binding, that how you used to do binding in Angular 1 and now how you are doing binding in Angular 2. So in Angular 1, we used to use the same interpolation directive which we have here, like this, double curly braces. So the same thing got copied in Angular 2 as well. Okay, so there is no change in the interpolation. It's the same which we have here. The same thing is present here as well. Okay, so this VM dot means it's nothing but that it is an object property. Okay, so don't get confused. It's simple that there also you used to write curly braces to do the binding from controller to the view. Okay, just see that how the analogy changes. Here it was from controller to the view, and here it is from component to the view. Okay, so that is pretty simple one. Then we move to filters, right? So as I told in our session number 13, as far as I remember, which was on the pipes, 12 or 13 it was there. Yeah, so that filters, we used to call the filters in Angular 1, right? Filters are what? Basically the transformation criteria, that how you can transform some text on the UI, right? So we used to call them filters, and now they are changed to pipes. Okay, so how you used to apply filters? By writing pipe symbol and then name of the filter. Same syntax remains the same, that it is the pipe symbol and name of the filter. However, there are several filters which got deprecated. There was one filter whose name was order by. Okay, so as you can order something, order in like descending order, ascending order. There was a filter called as order by in Angular 1. Okay, but that is no more available in Angular 2. Okay, there is no order by pipe in Angular 2. Okay, yeah, so as written here as well, that many but not all of the built-in filters from Angular 1 are built-in pipes in Angular 2. Okay, but not all means the same thing, that few of the filters were removed in Angular 2. Okay, that is from the pipes or filters point of view. Then comes the local variables, that how you used to create local variables, or also called as the template variables in Angular 2, right? So we used to write like this, ng repeat, and after that we write like this. Okay, so it is not the template variables are different, it's just the local variables. Okay, so there was a directive called as ng repeat. What was ng repeat and what it does? Ng repeat was useful to iterate over a data set, right? If you have a data set, let's suppose movies, right? Movies is having a lot of movies. Okay, and then you want to show them in the UI. Then what you used to do? You used to write ng repeat equals to movie in movies, and then you just bind the values like movie.title, movie.name, movie.actor, whatever. Okay, now in Angular 2, the same thing means the iterator, right? That is changed to ng4. Okay, so as I told, ng repeat was also a directive in Angular 1. Similarly, in Angular 2, ng4 is a directive, right? And how you used to write? You can directly write a variable name movie, right? Local variable. Here you have to write let movie of movies. Okay, here it was in was the operator. Here of is the operator. Okay, so it is ng4, which is the directive name changed from ng repeat, and the way how you create variables is let movie of movies. Movies is the data set, and then you just print it. Okay, so this is how you moved from iterator, which was ng repeat in Angular 1. It became ng4 in Angular 2. Okay, now let's move further and see that how you used to start your application. Okay, so as we have seen, let's first talk about Angular 2, that how you bootstrap your application or start your application. As I told, it's not that easy, right? Like you are just switching on your car, right? You are just rotating the key, but there is lot of stuff happening behind the scene to start your car. Similarly, in Angular 2, there is lot of stuff which is required to bootstrap your application, to start your application, right? So these are the files like main.ts have this lot of stuff in which you pass app module. App module has some configuration, right, which contains some ng module, right? So these two files, as I told, are the main files required to bootstrap your application. Okay, and if I tell you that it is too much, okay, you're doing a lot of stuff here, and it was very easy in Angular 1. How? By just writing one directive called as ng app. Okay, if you write ng app on body or at the HTML tag and you give it a name, this name becomes your module. Okay, and as soon as it sees ng app is there, it will be considered as a application, Angular application, as its name says ng app. It is nothing but the Angular application. Okay. So it was very simple in Angular 1, but in Angular 2, they have to make it little complicated. And this complication is only if you create or if you do your project on your own, right? But we used Angular CLI, and Angular CLI is very helpful for us. It has already given us all this stuff, right? Even you don't need to change this file, right? As soon as you create something, it automatically adds or appends to app.module.ts file. You create a service, you create a pipe, you create a component. All the entries gets registered here automatically by the usage of Angular CLI. Okay. So in Angular 1, there was a directive ng app to start your application. But Angular 2 does not have a bootstrap directive. Okay. Here you have to bootstrap it on your own by using bootstrap module function. Okay. So this is what is changed very differently in Angular 1 to Angular 2. Okay. Then comes the another directive called as ng class. This is almost similar. Their functionality is same. Only thing is the way you write it is changed. Earlier it was written like this ng hyphen class, and after that you can write name of the class. Okay. But now it is more of a binded like a property binding by using the square bracket ng class, and after that same name of the class. Okay. So only the way you write or the way you bind a class name is changed from Angular 1 to Angular 2. Okay. Then came the click event. Not only click, any event. So here they have taken the example of click event. So what we used to have ng hyphen click. Okay, ng hyphen click equals to the function name. Okay. But now in Angular 2, it is changed like this. There is no directive as such. Okay. In Angular 1, there was a directive which allows you to bind an event to the click. Okay, to bind a function to the click event. But now what do we have? We have the method binding. We have the concept of method binding by usage of parenthesis. So you write button, and if on click, if you want to on click, then write click and bind it via parenthesis. Parenthesis, inside that you will write click equals to whatever function name, whatever function you want to call, its name you have to mention. Okay. So this is the event binding, and one of the event binding is click. Okay. So this is what has changed. ng click is no more present in Angular 2. You have to make use of the click binding. Okay, or you can say the method binding. Okay, so this documentation I found very useful, as I was from Angular 1 background, and suddenly Angular 2 was released. Not suddenly, it was already announced, but for me it was little sudden only, because I was working on Angular 1 at that point of time, and then I have to start learning Angular 2 side by side. Okay, so even a lot of people, like they are still working on Angular 1, but they are also learning Angular 2 side by side along with their Angular 1. Okay, and this guide is really very useful to change your mindset, to come from Angular 1 background, and you can relate, right? You can relate that what I used to write in Angular 1 and now what I am writing in Angular 2. Okay, so this guide is very, very useful. Okay, you will find it very useful, that you will be also be see, you will also be analyze that what was there in Angular 1, right? Now you knows the stuff in Angular 2. Okay, now you can do the reverse engineering. You can relate from to Angular 2 to Angular 1. Okay, so then came the ng controller. So as I told, there was a controller concept in Angular 1, right? You have to create a controller for your template. So the same thing or the same concept or the same functionality is achieved using component in Angular 2. Okay, so controller was also nothing but it was also containing some functions, right? The functions which will apply to HTML. Same thing is in component also, right? In component also we are having functions which apply to some HTML. Okay, so we used to mention like this: ng controller equals name of the controller. Like just now we have the name of the component, right? So same thing we used to have ng-controller was a directive. Okay, and inside that we have to give name of the controller. But now it is changed to component. This is a very abrupt change. Okay, so if you know a controller, you will be able to relate definitely. But yeah, component concept is entirely different. Okay, then came the ng hide. Right, so ng hide was also a directive in Angular 1. If you make it to true, let's suppose a div is there. On that div, you mention ng hide equals to true. That div gets hidden. Okay, so if I tell you that there is a difference between ng if and ng hide. Okay, hide, what hide does, hide just uh, set its display property to none. Okay, it is not just displayed on the browser. Otherwise, if you look in the DOM means document object model, right? If you look into the DOM structure, that element will be present there. It is just that it is not shown on the browser. But if you make use of ng-if, what it does, it changes the DOM itself. It will remove the element from DOM completely. Okay, so ng hide was there in Angular 1, but in Angular 2, there is no directive with which you can achieve ng hide. Okay, rather what you have a property, right? There is a property, HTML property called as hidden. You can set that property using hidden. Okay, hidden is an attribute, right? You just bind it into the square bracket, and after that you write equals to true or false. Okay, if I show you how you write it, you will write like this. Let's suppose a div is there, and what you will do, you will write like this: hidden equals to true or false. This will give you the same functionality which ng hide used to give you. Okay, if you use ng if, right, what will happen if you use ng if? Ng if, what it will do, it will remove the complete element itself from the DOM. Okay, ng if will come, we'll see. Okay, then we used to have ng href. Ng href was again a directive using which you can set the value of hyperreference into a anchor tag. Okay, but there is no such directive in Angular 2. Rather, How you do it? You do it by writing square bracket, right? Property binding, simple. Okay, and inside that you mention the URL, right? So that is about nghref. All right. And when you have to do the routing, right? If you remember the routing session, how we do the routing? By using router link, right? So in Angular 1, we used to use nghref to move from one route to another route. But here we have a router link uh, property binding. Router link equals then name of the route where you want to go. Okay. So that is about router link. Then came the ngIf, right? I was talking about it recently. So ngIf is which basically removes the element from the DOM. So this ngIf is present in Angular 2 as well. However, just the name and how we use it is changed. That's it. It was ng-if. Now we have like this star ngIf, right? You use star in front of every structural directive. ng4, this ngIf, right? ng-switch, all these uses star. So as to show that they are the structural directives. Okay. Then came the ng model, right? So where you used ng model? Anyone remember? Where we used ng model? Nobody remembers? Yes, no. Ng model in app.module.ts. No, not at all. Yes, we used in views, but why? Where? Exactly. Maddie is correct. Two-way data binding. We used it into the forms. In the form session, we used ng model for two-way binding, right? What is two-way binding? Data can travel from view to the component and component to the view, right? It is two-way data binded. If you forgot, then it is written in front of you that you use both the brackets to achieve two-way data binding, curly braces as well as the square brackets. Okay, so there was a directive called as ng-model, inside which you can pass name of the model. So the same thing with the little syntax sugar, right? This is the syntax sugar which came into picture. Curly braces and square bracket. The rest remains the same. You have to just pass name of the model which contains some data, right? So that is how ng model is changed. Okay. So if you see somewhere this code, then you should not be scared that what is it. It is just ng model which is written to achieve two-way data binding. Okay. Now let's talk about the repeat, right? So this also we were just talking about that when you want to repeat over a data set, what you used to do? You used to write ng-repeat, right? And now it is changed to ng4, star ng4, because it is a structural directive. That is why star is there. Okay, rest remains the same or what we have studied already. that you used to write movie in movies. Okay, here you don't need to use let, but in ng4 you have to make use of let. Okay, so rest we have seen, we have already used it. All right, so there was a very unused directive called as ng-show, right? So there were two directives, ng-show and ng-hide in Angular 1. Okay, so they were nothing, just they were just opposite to each other. If you make ng-show equal to true, then it will be shown. If you make ng-hide equal to true, it will be hidden. Other than that, there was no difference at all. They were just exactly opposite. Okay, so now both of them are removed in Angular 2 because it's a overhead only, right? If you the same thing you can achieve with one as well, right? If you want to show something, then you can write ng-show equal to true. If you want to hide something, you can write ng-show equal to false, right? ng-hide is not required at all. Okay, so now in Angular 2, we do not have either of these. They removed both of them. Now we have the hidden property. Okay, just bind the hidden property to true or false. And how you bind it? By using square bracket. Okay, so that is about showing and hiding the content. Next is ngsrc. ngsrc was again a directive in Angular 1, and you used to write on image tags image ngsrc equals the path source where your image is. Okay, now in Angular 2 it is changed to just property binding by using square bracket equals to name or the path of or the URL from where you want to import the image. Okay, so you can see at a lot of places they removed the unrequired directives, and they just made it like kind of generic thing, right? So if you want to add URL, just use square bracket of src. Okay, just like if you want to use an anchor tag, you want to bind hyperreference, no need to create a separate directive, just bind the href only by using the square bracket. Okay, so this syntax is very useful, the square bracket syntax. Okay, you must always remember this syntax of property binding. This will help you a lot in doing Angular 2 projects. Okay, then came the very similar directive to ng style, just like ng class, we have ng style. Okay, so you used to write like this in ng style in Angular 1. Now it is moved to like this property binding again, right? So again, I will say the property binding is a generic concept in Angular 2, which you can use. Okay, rest binding remains the same. You just pass name of the style which you want to apply. Okay, then comes the ng switch. Okay, so how you used to have ng switch, ng hyphen switch, and after that value, and then you are having lot of options from the switch, ng switch when. Okay, and then value, ng switch when, another value, ng switch default. Okay, so this is almost similar, just the syntax is changed. You have ng switch like this. After that you have ng switch case, and in last you have ng switch default. This is very simple to understand, right? Just the syntax is changed. The way it works remains the same. Yeah. Okay. So if you look at into the detail of pipes or filters, there was currency filter available in Angular 1. The same filter, currency filter, is available in Angular 2 as well. Okay, so you can see almost similar thing is available in Angular 2 as well. So currency filter they just brought from Angular 1. Then the same date filter. Date filter was present in Angular 1. Same date filter is available in Angular 2 as well. Okay. Then there was a filter. This is pretty interesting. There was a filter whose name was filter. Okay. So there is no such filter in Angular 2. Okay. So what you used to write here in filter, you pass some value. Okay. Then it will filter out those movies whose name starts with that value. Okay. So in Angular 2, they removed the filter because they now says that if you want such a functionality, then implement your own. Okay. And there might be a case that this was rarely used filter. All right. Then there was a Json filter. Okay. So Json filter is again just copied from Angular 1. It just moved from Angular 1 to Angular 2. Its functionality remains the same. It shows the objects as a string in the UI. Right? If you print a object in using interpolation on the UI, then what it shows? It shows object into a square bracket. But if you want to show the actual content of the object, then you can use the filter or the pipe called as JSON. Okay. Then there was a limit to filter. Okay, so limit 2 was there in Angular 1. Now it is replaced with slice filter. Right? Anyone remember what slice filter does? Yes, no? Nobody knows what slice filter does. It's very explicit. Okay, so I tell, so slice filter, or you can say slice pipe. I would rather say slice pipe. Slice pipe, what it does, it slices out the content, right? So it takes two parameters. First we index the index from where it has to start the slicing. Next is the second parameter is the last, till what point of time or what point of index it has to keep the slice going. Okay, so slice, if you just take an English word as well, what is a slice? Slice is nothing but a kind of a piece, right? A small piece out of a bigger piece. Okay, so the equivalent filter was there whose name was limit to. It limits, right? Limit to something. Okay, so it was present in Angular 1 with the name limit to. Now it is replaced with a pipe called as slice. Then there are two filters, lowercase and uppercase. They are doing the same thing. They were in Angular 1. Now they are coming in Angular 2 as well. Very same. Okay. Then there was a number filter. So number filter or number pipe is similar. Only thing is it gives you more access to limiting the number of digits before the decimal point and after the decimal point. Okay, so you can actually handle that how many digits, minimum digits you want after the decimal, how many maximum digits you want, and how many number of digits you want before the decimal point as well. Okay, so it's the same filter which is number pipe, and with a little bit of more flexibility. Okay. Then order by, as I told, there is no order by filter or pipe in Angular 2. Okay. Maybe it was not much of a use and it was pretty complex, and it might be taking lot of time to load. So that is why they might have removed order by. If you want to have order by, then implement your own. Right? One of the kind of order by only we have also implemented in our sessions, which was the sorting. Right? There was a example which I shown, right? Which sorts the array in ascending and descending order on the basis of value which you have passed. Okay. So that was the order by and about the filters. All right. Then the Angular modules, that how you used to create modules. There was an object called Angular and it was having a function called as module. So you used to write angular.module, and then you have to write name of the module which you want to create and number of dependencies which are there on your module. So this was the syntax which you used to have in Angular 1 to create a module. This one. Okay. So in this array like ng route, in this array you pass your n number of dependencies. Okay. No matter, this was very simpler way, right? It was one line syntax. But now it is changed to very complex Angular modules. You have to write a lot of stuff like this, like this. Then now we have one decorator called as @ng module, in which you have to pass all your dependencies. If there is a separate module, then you have to import it, right? If there is a component, you have to write component, right? And then you have to mention the component which you have to bootstrap. Okay, so this was also nothing but a kind of configuration only. Same thing we are doing here as well. We are kind of configuring our project in order to start. Okay, so that is what we use in Angular 2. Okay, then how you create a controller by using a dot controller function. Okay, and after that you pass name of the controller and all the dependencies. Now you create a component instead of controllers by using @component decorator, inside which you pass some properties which are kind of metadata for your class. Class is what? Component. Okay. Then function, how you write function? You write like this, right? Even there was no class in Angular 1 because there was no class in ES. Now they are having class concept, so that is why you generally create classes. Okay, so if in Angular 1, how you used to create classes? By writing a function only. Inside a function, you create a function which will initiate something or which will instantiate an object. Same thing is achieved using classes in Angular 2 now. Okay, because they are using the latest concepts, and latest ES6 has the class concept as well. Okay, then the dependency injection, right? If you remember how we injected the dependencies, we used to inject the dependencies like this. Okay, if there is a dependency, we used to write within the function, and in Angular 2 we have a constructor function inside which you can inject your dependencies. So what are dependencies? They are nothing but the services only, right? As I told you, if you write add that injectable on top of a class, that becomes a injectable service, right? Because add that injectable makes it a service. And how you use it inside a component? By instantiating it within a constructor function. Okay. So this is about the dependency injection in Angular 2. All right. Rest almost remains the same. Like how you used to add CSS classes, you are having link tag, right? It is just simple HTML. But here, how you have style URLs, right? You have a style URLs property, which is inside the component decorator, and to which you can pass n number of CSS files. Okay, so that is regarding the style URLs. All right, so that's pretty much for the migration from A1 to A2. A1 to A2 means Angular 1 to Angular 2. Okay, so in case by any chance you have to migrate any project, you can directly refer to this documentation, and this is pretty nice documentation with all the comparisons available. If you get to work on a project where you have to migrate Angular 1 code to Angular 2, this will definitely help you. Okay, so this is a kind of one-stop point where you can refer anything, right? And rest is up to the common sense that how you will do it and how you will proceed. But this contains major chunk or major portion which we generally use. Okay, so this is a very, very useful guide which helps you to migrate your mindset. Okay, so it's not like migrating the Angular code, it's about migrating the mindset, that how we used to have a mindset of Angular 1. There are several developers, like thousands or lakhs of developers, who still have the mindset of Angular 1, right? So this guide helps them to change or to migrate their mindset from Angular 1 to Angular 2. Okay, so I really respect this documentation because this helped me as well as a developer, as a mentor, to migrate myself from Angular 1 to Angular 2. All right. Yeah. So I have completed this session from my side. If you guys have any doubts in this session, then you can ask. No doubts. If not, then we can just close the session for today. And after that, this is what is like session number 17, right? So after that, what is left? We are left with one session on testing. So our next session will be on testing of Angular, where we will study about unit testing, which many candidates don't like. Like I observed from my previous batches that people don't want to attend the session, but you should attend. That you will learn about unit testing. At least you will get basic understanding that how testing works. Okay, and after that we will be having two sessions on progressive web apps. Okay, so that is something new that come for the first time, progressive web app. For that also we will have a basic understanding of how progressive web apps are created and what are progressive web apps. Okay, so those two sessions will be pretty new and might be interesting for you as well as for me. Okay, because that's new for everyone. And after that, we will be having 4 sessions on project. Okay, so in last we will be having a project, as I told you. So what we will do, we will start from the session number 20th, which will be on progressive web app. There we will discuss that what project you want to work on. Okay, and then you can start working on it. Okay, even if you have any idea right now, you can definitely start it. That will help you, because as we have like kind of alternate day sessions, right? So we will have around 8 to 10 days to work on project. Okay, if you can work at that point of time, well and good. If you want to start working right away, you can start working on it. Okay, so that same project which you will start working on now, that anyways you can submit on the Angular is or our ACAD guild as well. Okay, so that will help you to practice more because you will have more time, right? Like today is 23rd, we still have 2 weeks of time. Okay, if you start now, then you will have 2 weeks. If you start after session number 20, you will still have 8 to 9 days. If you can complete in that particular time, you can do that as well. Not a problem. All right. Yes, Mehdi, you can always pick your own project. Okay, and we strongly we strongly recommend that you work on your project. However, we do have 1 or 2 default projects of our own. If you do not come up with your own idea, then we have to work on that. Okay, and in those sessions, it will be like opposite of what we used to do now, right? Where I am speaking and you are listening. In those sessions, you guys will be speaking and I will be listening. All right. We are going to cover one project. If you can work on multiple, well and good. Okay, so if you guys have any ideas, then what you guys can do is you can start writing it down. All right, keeping the timelines in your mind, that how much time you guys have. According to that, set your expectations. Okay, according to that, set your expectations, that how much you can cover. Okay, and even if your expectations are high from yourself, that you can work on a lot of stuff, and still if you don't, your expectations doesn't met with your work which you complete, then also it's not a problem, because you can submit the project afterwards as well, and you can anyways keep on working on it after the sessions completed. Okay, even after the our course gets over, still you can keep on working on your project, right? Because that anyway is going to help you, right? As motto of our training is not just to get the marks on the certificate, or not just to get the certificate, right? It is more of a to get the knowledge. All right, so what I always suggest is that pick a project which covers concepts more, not the functionality. Okay, so do one basic project which is having a simple sign in, sign up, or log out, right? So these three functionalities covers a lot of stuff. Okay, like one flow. So anyways, it's up to you. You guys decide what you want to work on. Okay. All right. So what we'll do, we will stop here and we'll see you guys on Wednesday now, where we'll start with testing. Okay. Thank you guys. I stop sharing my screen. Bye bye. Have a good night.